Hey guys, it's Coop, and the desk setup is finally done, so without any further ado, here is the full tour. So before we start, I want to inform you guys on a few things really quick. The first is that I'm not going to be super in-depth in this video, and that's mostly because you've already seen this setup before in my 3-part series where I actually built it. The next thing to know is that this is a productivity and productivity setup only, and it does what it needs to do very well. Keep that in mind as we go through the video. And of course, the third thing is that the setup isn't perfect yet, and I'm still working on improving it. So if you have any suggestions as you're watching the video as how I can do that, make sure to tell me that down below. But with all that being said, let's get into the tour. So I think the first thing to talk about here is the desk itself, which isn't actually a desk by itself. The top is a 74-inch long slab of 1-inch thick walnut, which is the IKEA Carbly countertop. And to support that beautiful countertop, we've got 2 Alex drawer units in white underneath. Having those drawer units in white both highlights the wood and allows the RGB lights underneath to reflect all around, and it just produces a really cool visual effect. So now is the part of the tour which I'm going to talk about the heart of the setup, that being of course the PC. But where is it? It's not on top of the desk, it's not underneath, it's actually behind the monitor. So this is my Dell Inspiron 15 7000 series laptop. It uses a Core i7 processor, 8GB of RAM, and Intel graphics to power the 15-inch 4K rotatable touchscreen. So by itself, the laptop is a productivity beast, and I love it for traveling, but when I want to dock it in my full setup here, all I gotta do is put it behind the monitor, plug in a few cables, and there we go. So the next thing, of course, is to talk about that amazing looking display in the center of the desk, and this is a large 1080p monitor from Dell. So I was recently lucky enough to inherit this monitor from a family member, hence why I don't know the size or model number off the top of my head, but I'll leave a link to it down below so you guys can find that out if you're interested. The colors look amazing and the contrast is very well set up, and if you didn't know that it was a 1080p monitor, you'd probably guess it was at least 2 or 4K. Anyways, to support the monitor, we have a matching black desk clamp, which doesn't take up much space on the desk, looks very clean and simple, which is kind of one of the big themes for this setup. Speaking of main themes, beside productivity, I really wanted to accomplish comfort, colorfulness, and cleanliness. This new setup has to be leaps and bounds in front of my old one in all 3 of those categories, especially comfort. So this is my brand new desk chair, and I didn't pay much attention to what it was called when I bought it, and despite looking it up many times, I don't know the name of it still. All I can tell you is it's from OfficeMax, and it cost a pretty penny. But it was well worth it because this chair is unbelievably comfortable. Everywhere you can see and touch is made out of either metal or high quality leather, and it gives a really cool and classy look in my opinion. It doesn't look too bland and boring, but it also doesn't look so obnoxious that it stands out. And I think for the money I paid for it, it is probably the best valued chair I could have gotten. I just realized I almost forgot to show you my peripherals, so here they are. One is a keyboard made out of bamboo. Yes, real bamboo, and I made a full review on this a while back. If you want to check that out, it'll explain some of the advantages to having a real wood keyboard and so on. And the other is the Logitech MX Master Mouse, which is super popular, but for good reason. And guess what? I also made a review on that. But stepping back to the setup, we're just going to go over the rest of the gadgets and gizmos on top of the desk, and we're going to start all the way on the right side. So right here I've got a simple 4 USB tower charger from Sharper Image, and it's nothing special, but I thought it was a nice addition to the setup, and whenever I need to quickly plug something in, I will use that. Next to that, I've got my Himalayan salt lamp, which I've had forever, but it still stands out as being one of the coolest looking parts of the setup, at least in my opinion. Next to that, you can find one of the speakers in my main Dell sound system, which I made a full review of, and you can find the link to that down below. Next to that, I usually have a small source of life like a plant, or in this case, a pumpkin, because Halloween just passed and fall is just ending. Moving left again to the next item, you can find this small silicone pig. This is a USB and SD card reader, and when Oracle first sent this out to me, I thought it was going to be a total gimmick and I wouldn't use it after I review it, but I'm using it, so why is that? The main reason is that it takes one USB port on my laptop and gives me 3 extras, and it makes the SD card reader way more accessible. It also has a micro SD card reader, which means that if you want to get drone footage or GoPro footage or whatever, you don't need to buy an adapter anymore. And I know there's a lot of options for these very functional data hubs, but if you're looking for one that's colorful and might add some personality to your setup, this might be worth checking out, and I'll leave a link down below. On the other side of the monitor, the first thing to find is a cheap, reliable, and basic wireless charger, which I use with my Galaxy S8. And right next door to that, you can find this thing. This is the Divoom time box, and I never made a full review on this because it is insanely popular already and you can find tons of reviews out there, but basically it is a Bluetooth speaker with an alarm clock function and a LED panel on the front that basically can display anything you want. I think it's a very nice little addition to the aesthetics of the setup. So there's 2 more items here. The first is a simple, modern looking desk lamp, and the other is a fake plant which holds pencils. These have no part in video production, but they're still very important to the setup because I need them for homework, which sadly I do just as much of at this setup as video production. So the last thing to talk about at this setup is actually underneath the setup, and it's all those cables. You probably didn't expect there were so many because all the cables everywhere are hidden from almost every angle except of course underneath the desk. If you want to see how exactly I organized all these cables and the cable management tools and products I used, you can check out part 3 of my setup build series. One little gadget that isn't actually on the desk is this little AC adapter from Niton Power. They were kind enough to send out this nice little addition to the setup, and basically it just takes one AC outlet, gives you 3 and 3 more USB ports. And that gives me a total of 16 AC outlets and 15 USB ports across the setup. And that might seem excessive because it is, but believe it or not, most of them get used. It's functional, clean, and very cheap, so if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link down below. But that's basically it. My setup has evolved from this, to this, to this, now to this. So I couldn't have done any of this without you guys, and now that the setup is finally done and the tour is finally done, I can really get to work on making next level videos using all this stuff. And I guess this is kind of the quick channel update part of this video, but I've honestly felt like my videos have been held back because I've been working on this tour for so long. So with this video finally done, I feel like I can kind of start a new phase almost in this channel. So if you guys have any video ideas, make sure to tell me down below. Of course, the holidays are coming up, so I've got a few ideas for those. But if you have any themes either that you want to see in the channel, tell me those down below. So I'm very excited to see what the future will hold for this channel and for my videos with this new desk setup. So thank you all so much for watching up to this point, and if you are still watching, chances are you enjoyed the video, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I make videos like this almost every single week on my channel. And to those of you who are already subscribed, consider hitting that bell icon down below, as it's free and you get to be notified every week when my video comes out. As always, I'll try to link all the products I featured in this video down below, along with any company who helped in the making of it. So once again, I need to thank you guys though for not only watching this video, but making this whole tour possible. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.